right, let's talk about balance damage over time. We're going to focus on the single target aspects of this class. So let's look at the tree. Let's look at level 23. Two things you need to look at on this, well, three things really, but let's look at the shifted balance. It's going to give you the shifted balance ability. I want you to look at this ability here. It's called Assailable. Assailable gives 7% more damage to dot classes. So it's important that somebody on your team has Assailable. So how do you know if they have it? Well, Innovative Ordnance and Assault Specialist both have it, as well as Ruffian, Lethality, Scrapper, and Concealment all have it. So that is the four classes of Operative and Scoundrel. They all four damage classes have it. So Watchman Annihilation, how do you know if you have Watchman Annihilation? One of them heal. One of the double saber class heals. So if you have somebody running around with two lightsabers and they're healing anybody, that is a Watchman class or Annihilation, and they both have that Assailable debuff in their rotation automatically. And Saboteur, Engineering, Dirty Fighting, or Virulence. Those are the Sniper and Sharpshooter classes. The two of the better ones. So if somebody's using Marksman, shame on them. Sharpshooter and Marksmanship, they don't have it, and they're also one of the lowest performing classes in the game, as well as Gunnery, which doesn't have it. So if someone's bringing those for Gunnery, Arsenal, Marksmanship, or it's just unfortunate they're not bringing Assailable, okay, which means you're going to need to switch over to Assailable for the team. Okay, so what you really want to pick is Consuming Light, and here's the reason for it. So you get but all three of the options on your tree at level 23 give you that option to put Assailable on the target. I'm sorry, not Assailable. It's called Force Suppression. That means more periodics, that is your dots, that each one does 15% more damage. So read level 23. Read this. You'll see that 15% more. That's amazing once you have those on there. So you want that on your bar, on the target as fast as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that in there. Force and balance. Okay, so next, you're going to need to see that this class has a dot over time cleanser, and that is at level 27. Unfortunately, you cannot take one of your damage reduction abilities is lost. So there's other ways you can mitigate damage. So you can self-heal. There's quite a few different ways. Your bubble, for example. Unfortunately, but you're going to need to use Teachings of Rajivari to have a straight up damage increase. So let's look at how that works. So you put a dot on there. Let's just put in a sample dot, and you pop it off. All of that damage is all wiped out all at once. Your dots all burn at the same time, and it is instantaneous. Then you can reapply your dots as needed. So let's look at your telekinetic throw. This is your ability. It's called Psychokinetic Turret. It is applied at level 78. Psychokinetic Turret makes your dots do 3% more damage, so it's important for you never to allow your telekinetic throw to fall off the target this Psychokinetic Torrent to fall off the target, because that Psychokinetic Torrent makes your dots do more ticks. Okay, so next is actually your buff, not the target's buff. It's on you. It's not a debuff for them. It's not a buff for them. It is a buff for you. Also, it does something called Presence of Mind, which will make two of your abilities instacast. It will be the Vanquish, and your Disturbance will be instacast. All right, let's look back at the tree again. That was at level 78, and that was at 27. So moving on all up the tree, pick what you want along the way. You might want to ask around and find out if you have Force Empowerment. It's unfortunate if someone does not. If you don't have this, it's not the end of the world. That's okay, because the positioning of Force Speed to get the most damage out of it, it's going to come off cooldown anyway. It's going to be off cooldown long before your Force Serenity, so it's okay. It just gives you more mobility. This is a mobility, not a damage increase, whereas this is a damage increase. This gives you more mobility. You can use Force Speed more than once in your full rotation, just for you to move around more readily for mechanics of fights. You're going to want to take your Force Serenity. The only time you'll need to take something besides your Force Serenity while moving is possibly if you need a little more damage reduction, but I don't understand why that would why that would be, other than PvP. And then here, same thing. You could do your force mend could be a damage reduction instead of a little extra mobility. I would prefer my little extra mobility. I can get out of danger after I do my barrier. Okay, let's look at your next tree. Pick what you want. They're all situational, and those three are all situational. Okay, let's move on to the rotation. That's what you're here for. So looking at the opener, first thing you want to do is this Vanquish applies a thing called vulnerable to the target. So vulnerable will mean you take 5% more damage. They take 5% more damage from force attacks. That helps everybody out. Everybody on your team. Anybody using force attacks, vulnerable is a good thing. And then your force suppression will do your dots. So you want those as soon as possible. So this is the opener I use here. So we're just going to pop that. Tanks pulling in 3, 2, 1. Apply your force suppression. You see those dots on there. And as the dots tick, you see the dots going. You see the dots going. As each one goes, they're all burned. They're all using that those 15% extra. Okay, so then you'd reapply those dots. All right. Next, you're looking at again the force speed used in front of force serenity. That is a must. That is your hardest hitting ability. One other item before we jump into the rotation is going to be disturbance. Disturbance is a straight up DPS loss. However, if you have it procced, you can use it while moving. Okay, so it is a DPS loss, but it also allows for mobility, and I'm all about the mobility. I'm all about insta cast. So whereas you should be using probably 2 kinetic throws in a row right here, I put a telekinetic throw and then a disturbance for the mobility of things, and so I practice with the mobility in place so that I can continue to have that force mobility. Okay, let's just jump right into it. Hopefully we'll do somewhere between 28 and 30k. Who knows how randomness things are, but this is going to do somewhere between those numbers. So I need to tag the target first. Let me weaken that target down. You're not going to see that debuff. So this actually applies the vulnerable. So this would apply a vulnerable onto the target, but there's no need because this already adds the vulnerable. Also, the other one, assailable, is applied already. So this is the way to go for even parsing because it's already applied. Okay, and again, this is not for dot spreading. You can use a dot spread method. You would actually apply the force imbalance after your dots, and you may not even want to clean them off. I don't even know. That's not what we're talking about. Single target damage. And let's reduce this down to 2,000, 2 million. All right. I think we're good to go. And I'm going to move the force speed because why not? Tank's pulling in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so that was 29k. Close enough. It's good enough. It'll get pretty much what you needed to happen. If you want a DPS increase, get rid of that disturbance and go ahead and use 2 telekinetic throws in a row. And keep in mind, I mentioned it already, but I will emphasize it one more time. You want to keep that telekinetic throw from falling off. You'll see a lot of the rotations out there. You'll use 4 of these in a row. It's just you'll lose your buff that you gain at level 78 of the cyberkinetic torrent. And I think that's all I got for you. Just keep in mind that you don't have your, I said it already, but you do not have your Cloud Mind. You're going to need that force barrier. It's a 2-minute cooldown. It's 2 minutes 30 seconds cooldown. Your Forceman will heal you, and you have a little bit of a defensive there. So, and you might want to invest in getting a shield of some sort, possibly chiropractic shield. Get someone to make one for you, maybe the purple kind if you can't make them already. Anyway, that's all I got for you.